Social Studies 101, Video 1, Basics of Government. Today, I want you to be able to define and list the methods of citizenship. So define what is citizenship, and then how do I become a citizen? List a citizen's civic duty. So be able to write down, this is a civic duty, there's another civic duty, there's another civic duty. And then last, take that list of civic duties, this, and this, and then try to take that list and bring it to life. Realize how it exists in your life, in the real world. They're not just things on the paper saying, oh wait, that kind of applies to that one time that I did that one thing. Start the timer! Citizenship. What is the definition of citizenship? So it's a person. We're talking about citizens. We're talking about a person, not just a person, not just a student. There's a little thing that adds on to this as a citizen of a nation. And as a citizen of America, your citizenship means you're a person with rights or privileges, however you want to do. You have a freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. Little asterisk, because you can't completely say whatever you want, but you can say a lot of stuff. You have the right to freedom of religion. You can believe in God. You don't believe in God. You can believe in Islam. You can believe in Judaism. You can say there is no God. You can believe in a spaghetti monster, and no one can tell you any different because you as a citizen have rights, and the government guarantees to protect those rights. You have all kinds of rights. You can privacy. No one can go in your home if they're not allowed. You have the right to that as a citizen. So part of being a citizen is all the cool stuff you have, all the protections that you have. The other part are your duties. These are the things that you have to do. I'm sorry, it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. In order for you to get stuff, and then the stuff that you're getting, you mean they're going to buy me things? No, they're not going to buy you things. But the government agrees to protect your rights. They're going to protect your freedom of speech. The government's job, the reason we created a government, the reason that we create governments, if you go back to Thomas Jefferson, he says, hey, everyone is born with rights. The government didn't give you rights. No one gives you rights. Every human on the face of the earth is born with these rights. Period. The reason we create a government is to protect those rights so no one takes you away. No one can tell you to shut up. The reason we created a government wasn't to do a bunch of stuff. We create government to protect our rights. We create a government to protect our life. I want to live. So we create a military. We create police so no one can take my life. That's why we create governments. We create government to protect my privacy so no one can jump in and steal from me and take from me. The government is there to protect. They create courts. All the things that we have for government is to protect our rights, but it's a two-way street. In order for the government to protect our rights, they need us to do some things. And these are our civic duties. The reason that we have to do these is in order for the government to protect our rights. It'll be really hard, and you'll see when I show you the list of the duties. Remember, part of this lesson is, what are my civic duties? What are the things that I have to do? The reason you have to do these is by doing these things, it makes it possible for the government to protect your rights. And you'll notice if you don't commit or do your civic duties, then it's impossible for the government to protect our rights. So citizenship. Who is a citizen? Well, we go to the U.S. Constitution and we look at the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution defines what a citizen is. And in this Constitution, we'll find out that there are two ways to become a citizen. Birth. If you are born in the United States, it doesn't matter if you're born in Hawaii, Alaska, Ohio, Idaho. If you are born in the United States, boom, you're done, you're a citizen. And that's most likely the people watching this video, but not necessarily the case. That's how I became a citizen. I was born and, hey, I'm American. The other way is to become, the stork dropped me off, is become naturalized. Naturalization. So there's two ways to become a citizen. Remember, a citizen is a person who has rights, but also has to do their duties. Naturalization. This is where you are not born in America, you come to America, and there's a process of where you can become an American, and you're a citizen, and you get all of your rights, but you also have to do your duties. Naturalization, let's talk about that. So, you live in Canada, and you move to America. Well, you weren't born here, so you can't do the first one, but we can do the second one. Or you live in Mexico, and you move to our country. You become a naturalized citizen, still a citizen. A birth citizen, naturalized citizen, still a citizen. Still get the same rights. Everything is exactly the same. The process for becoming a citizen was different. What is that process? Which was one of our learning goals. We want to know what a citizen is, and a citizen is a person with rights, but also has duties that they have to commit. How do you become a citizen? Well, step one is to be born there. Step two is naturalization. Well, what is naturalization? What are we going to do for that? Well, for naturalization, you have to take a test. What? You got to take a test to become? Yeah, You want to have freedom of speech. You want to have freedom to bear arms. You want to have your life protected by the strongest military in the country. You want to have the greatest economic opportunities known to the face of man. You want all those things? Well, then maybe you got to take a test. Are we asking that much? It's just a test. You take tests every day. You, as an American student, have taken all kinds of tests. What do you think social studies class is? I mean, it's basically, this is your naturalization. Now, technically, you're already a citizen, but we're making you do it too. So the immigrants that come to our country, they're not doing anything different. They just don't have to sit through 12 years of school and take tests. Actually, they've got it pretty good. They just got to take one test. How many tests do you have to take? It's not that bad of a deal. So you take a test. You need to understand the test quizzes new citizens on, do you know about America? Do you know how our government works? Basically, the reason we're doing it is because we want them to be able to be successful in our country. And if an immigrant is going to be successful as a naturalized citizen, they need to know how America works. They need to know about America's past. They need to know about America's government. They also need to be able to read and speak English because that is the dominant language in this country, at least from the government perspective and from the business perspective. So, makes a lot of sense. And it's not like we just made that up recently. It's in the Constitution. So what are your civic duties? So we told you, I didn't tell you about the rights. There will be videos where we explain, here are all your rights. Here are all the cool stuff the government agrees to protect. But what are the things that you have to do? There are 4 civic duties that you must agree to. What are they? Do you know? Can you take a guess? What are some of the things that you think that you must have to do, right? We're talking about, so you're a citizen, you're going to have your freedom of privacy, your right to own a weapon, your right to due process, the right to double jeopardy. What's double jeopardy? It means the government can't accuse you of the same crime over and over and over until they finally find you guilty. They got one chance to find you guilty. And if you're not guilty, that's it. They can never take you back to court. Wow, that's a cool right to have. The government can't torture you. What? That's awesome. Torture's not very cool. Yes, you have all these rights that the government agrees we will protect. What are the things that you think that you have to do in return? Look, they're doing all this stuff for you. What do you got to do in return? Not that complicated, folks. Not that complicated. Number 1, every citizen must do this. A lot of this, it may not just, you might be thinking like, well, what do I do in return for this? If I do this, you'll do this. No. Just think of what are 4 things that you think everybody should do. We're trying to run a country, 300 million people in America. What's rule number 1, maybe, that we kind of all need everybody to do this, or things might not work out very well. Number 1, you got to obey the law. Sorry, like, I want to do what I want to do. I get it. You want to be able to do whatever you want. You want to be completely free. Here's the problem. Well, we'll talk about it in a second. But rule number 1, you gotta obey the law. People have to follow the rules. If people don't follow the rules, it'd be chaos. If people don't follow the rules, people would steal from each other. People would kill each other. It would be chaos in the street. I know you're like, oh, this sounds like The Purge. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, it sounds pretty cool for the length of a movie. But if you had to live that every single day for the rest of your life, oh, no, man, I would be the best. Every single day, you would have to look over your back and expect someone to kill you. Every single day, you have to look over your back thinking that people are going to steal from you. Every single moment of every single day, you're in survival mode, survival mode, survival mode, survival mode. How could you ever do anything? How would you ever have any fun? How would you ever get anything done if you're constantly in survival mode? If everyone, now imagine everybody's in survival mode, right? Just trying to live. Got to watch out. I got my machine gun. I'm trying to protect myself. Who's going to make the iPhones? Who's going to make the cheeseburgers at McDonald's? No one's going to do anything because everyone's trying to survive. That's not good. So we have a government that protects our rights. And one of the ways we got to protect our rights is if we all agree to obey the law so that we're not in survival mode so we can get some stuff done. Everybody's got to pay taxes. Man, how are we going to pay for the government to protect our rights? We want the government to protect our speech and our freedoms and have courts that protect our lives. And police and the military. Got to pay for it somehow. Jury, everybody's got to serve in a jury if you're asked to. It's the only way that we can ensure that we have fair trials. If just regular people have to be on the jury. If we don't have regular people in the jury, then regular people aren't making decisions on who's guilty and who's innocent in criminal cases and civil cases. It'll be some sort of elites or higher class people that don't represent us and may not make decisions that are best for us. So the only way to ensure that we have juries that decide guilt and innocence, the only way that we have the fair, most accurate representation of the people is to have the people do it. And that means you got to make the people do it. You don't always have to go. Every once in a while you'll go. And then last but not least, how are you going to get a military? Every male has to serve in the military if called. How else do we protect our freedom and our way of life? In World War I, World War II, Vietnam, you name the war, Civil War, American Revolution. If we don't have soldiers, we don't win wars. We no longer have a country. It's the way it is. And so the only way you can get a bunch of soldiers is you got to force people to do it. 5 minutes, we're flying along. So the government's job, we created a government to protect your rights. The only reason that we create governments. That's why we have a government down the street. That's why we have a government in the capital of our state. That's why we have a government in Washington, D.C. Everything that they do should be designed to protect our rights and our freedoms. In return for them creating a military that protects our lives, and creates a military that protects our lives, and creates a court system that protects our lives and protects our properties, and a court system that'll protect your freedom of speech, and a court system that'll protect your freedom of religion. The government does all this, but they need you to do something in return. It is a two-way street. It's a contract. You got to do your duties. If you don't do your duties, you go to jail. Period. What? If you don't obey the law, you go to jail. We have to have that. Imagine you want to drive at 100 miles per hour. I want to be free. I want to do what I want to do. Can't nobody tell me what to do. I'm tired of the government telling me what to do. All right, well, it's not the government telling you what you can't do. It's the government protecting everyone else. I know you want to drive 100 miles per hour, and it sounds so fun. And that's great. And it sounds like the government's always bossing me around by saying I can't drive 100 miles per hour. Yeah, but the government's doing that to one person. They're telling you, the one person, they can't drive 100 miles per hour. And in return, they're actually saying, hey, you 299 million people in the country, you're going to be safe because Joe isn't driving 100 miles per hour. That's how it works. They tell you what to do or what you can't do, and in return, they're protecting everyone else. When you're not driving 100 miles per hour, it's a lot safer. So when you drive 55, it's better for everybody else. Think about it this way. I can't drive 100 miles per hour either. And so now you are safe because I want to go 150. And if I'm going 150, somebody's probably not going to live. Yeah, it's probably going to be, but actually they probably take some other people out in the process too. It's not good. It's very dangerous. That's why we have the government creating laws that are protecting our rights. But it's the government telling me what I can't do in order to protect other people's rights. You see how it works? Think about any law where the government says you can't do something. For the most part, those are designed to protect everyone else. The government says I can't kill people because other people don't want to die. The government says I can't steal from people. I want to steal your car. Yeah, but I want to keep my car. See, that's why they won't let you steal cars, because we want to keep our cars. I worked hard for that car. Imagine if we didn't have a jury where everybody served, right? I don't want to go do jury duty. Well, then we wouldn't have fair trials. You could go to court and it would be a bunch of rich people. They might not make a decision that helps you. You may be an African American and then you go to trial and it's all white people. Now, that may be racist. That may not be racist. But you would like it to be diverse. You would like the jury to have some African Americans, some men, some women, maybe Asian Americans, maybe some Caucasian Americans, just a mixture, an even representation of our country. You wouldn't want to go to court and it's all women and you're a guy. You might think, oh, they're not going to be fair to me. We want fair trials, and the only way to get fair trials is to make every man serve. Or make everyone serve in a jury. Everyone's got to serve in the military. This one's pretty obvious. If we don't go do our duty of protecting the country, then who's going to protect the country? We're going to get some robots on that, Mr. Dietrich. Yeah, eventually we probably will have robots doing it, but do we really want robots with guns protecting us? Because who's to say that maybe they're going to protect the robots against the humans? Do we really want that? Let's just go with, I know no one wants to die, but if we don't defend our country, then who will? That's the way the rules are. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. You get a lot of stuff in return. Right now, you are free and you are safe because other people are doing this for you right now. They're doing their civic duty of protecting our country. And last, you got to obey the law. If you don't obey the law, then people are going to steal from us. And then you're not really free or safe. If we don't obey the law, it's anarchy, like I said earlier. We have to obey the law. That's the biggest one of the four. Well, taxes are pretty big too. Well, what if I don't pay my taxes? You go to jail. What if I don't obey the law? You go to jail. What if I don't serve in the military if I'm asked? You go to jail. You have to do these. It's not that much. 4 civic duties. There are 4 civic duties that you have to do, things that you have to do every single day. But in return, you are free in this country to live and to achieve and do basically anything you want. Except for some things, obviously, are against the law, but that still allow everyone else to do what they want. You get it? You got it? This is a big part of being a citizen. 22 seconds left. Last, define and list the methods. So, citizenship is a person who has rights and privileges, but they also have to perform their duties. That's what a citizen is. You're either born a citizen or you become naturalized. If you're naturalized, you have to take a test. You got to be in the country for a little while, read and speak the language. 7 seconds last. 4 civic duties. Obey the law. Serve in a jury. Serve in the military. Pay your taxes.